up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Death of the Asia. Tonight, we are going to have a conversation about what one would call a very heavy subject that I think we need to address in our community. This morning, I woke up and I was just scrolling through Facebook and I ran across a post that brought me the chorus. I'm gonna read to you guys the post, and then we are gonna go from there. And when I read that post, I said, you know what, we really need to have a sit down about this conversation because it's something that I don't think that we even think about as a whole because it has been so normalized in our society. But I'm gonna read to you guys this post. The post says, and I'm gonna omit some things because some of the people that are that are named in the post, they are not public figures. So I'm gonna read to you the post. So the post goes, y'all can call me a bad father. I don't give a F. Y'all can look at me differently. I don't give a F. Such and such name probably gonna put her foot in my ass. If she reads this, and I'ma just shut up and take my beating. Before y'all judge me, yes, I had a responsible conversation with him about safe sex, waiting on marriage, all that BS our parents told us that we didn't listen to. I swear I did, y'all. But a young lady told my son he was well endowed, and I can't stop smiling. He is for sure 99.9% his daddy's child. Hey, y'all can unfriend me or whatever, and maybe I regret this post later. But I remember the first time a lady told me I was blessed. This is a proud father moment. Y'all can go right on to hell. I swear, I had a responsible convo with him. Y'all, I swear. But I'm happy as fuck, and he's blocked from this post. But damn it, I'm proud of him. So this post was written by someone who was a friend of mine on social media, right? And I decided that I'm gonna speak on the post. I did not like it. I didn't think that it was appropriate for the general public, the strangers, adults especially, to be knowing about the size of a minor's penis. We don't need to be knowing anything that's going on in between this little boy's legs. It's uncomfortable to scroll in and just have something like that in your face. It's very uncomfortable for people to use these public platforms to share things like that because kids, they have a right to their privacy. We have to protect their innocence. Blocking the kid out of the post isn't enough. If you know that you have to block this kid up out of the post, then you already know that you're wrong. It was people coming on the post talking about, oh, this is going to embarrass him, and put little emoji marks and LOLs to tiptoe around, just telling this guy, hey, this isn't right. So this big ordeal came from that because of me commenting and saying, I just basically said, he's a child and we don't need to know what's going on in between his legs. And then the guy told me, you could keep scrolling and all of that. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're going to do. Because a lot of times I agree with what you say. We've been cordial with each other, friendly towards each other, whatever. You come on my post and comment. I come on your post and comment. We're in agreement a lot. As soon as I disagree with something you say, you don't get to tell me, I could keep on scrolling or whatever, when it's just that I don't have a problem with you per se. I have a problem with what it is that you posted. And people don't know how to differentiate between the two. People feel like if you chastise them and hold them accountable and hold their foot to the fire about something that they put out there that's inappropriate, they take that and make it seem as though you have a problem with them. So basically, he told me, hey, Deasia, what you need to do is, he basically alluded to, I'm going to delete your comments, basically. And what you need to do is you need to take this to your page. And I did just that. I copied the post. I went onto my page. Of course, he followed. And he started talking about his degrees, who he is, how smart he is. He happens to be a dentist in the Louisiana area, right? Very accomplished guy, got great things going for himself. Matter of fact, on our hip hop show, he's been a guest. We celebrated his accomplishments or whatever. He battle raps, does really, really great things. And from what I can see on social media, I know that he loves his kids. He's an active father in their lives, whatnot, always posting and bragging about them. Absolutely okay. I think that he's, as far as a father is concerned, he seems like he's a really good dad, right? And he got things going for himself. Proud of him and his accomplishments. No ill feelings. Don't have a problem with this guy. Not trying to strip him of anything. But I don't care what your title is. I don't care about you being a doctor. I don't care about you being a lawyer. I don't care about you being a judge, a fireman, or whatever the hell. It doesn't matter to me. Our duty is to protect these kids and their innocence and their right to privacy. Talking about all of what you have and accomplished and how you well read and everything, that has nothing to do with your character. That has nothing to do with the fact that in this particular situation you made a big mistake, and the only thing you had to do is just say, you know what, that is inappropriate. I shouldn't have posted that. It's okay to admit to that. A lot of people don't understand that it's people like him that, you have pastors of the church or people who have those type of job titles that you feel like you are the one that have to protect. No, the person who has that job title has to protect their job, not the person that's the onlooker. It's not my responsibility to protect this other person's image and reputation. When you're on Facebook and social media conducting yourself and playing around and being reckless just like everybody else. And what happens in our community, in our society, especially the Black community, what happens in our community when we have people of high esteem and have different titles, what we do in our community a lot of times is we try to brush what they're doing under the rug. And you could see that on those posts where a lot of people was trying to brush this behavior under the rug. You could play and cut up and do whatever you want to do all day, and you could talk about grown people. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to these kids, it's gloves off for me. That's where I draw the line. People do not understand this. There are so many women out here that are predators, just like a lot of men. I know that these young boys, they are socialized to be very sexually active and everything. Their rite of passage at a young age is, their member, right? And so people don't even think about the innocence of a little boy. If you socialize these boys to be overly sexual or anything like that translates into their adulthood, where they don't know how to foster healthy relationships. They don't know how to have a healthy lifestyle. With these boys that be running around, or these young men or young adults, the way they run around and cheat and feel like they gotta have all of these different women and everything, that's because they have been socialized to be that way. And you have these grown women that will sit back on these different platforms and they will be lusting after your child. You see it all the time and nobody bats an eye about it. You could post your son online, a handsome little boy, regardless of the age. And hell, I don't even care if I know his son is about 15, 16 years old. Of course, probably around that age, the little boy probably is messing around, in which his dad needs to sit down and have that conversation with him, rightfully so. It's okay to say you had that conversation with your son. I don't think that's anything wrong with posting online, right? I wouldn't necessarily post it, but it ain't pushing the line. Once you talk about this little girl that she shouldn't even be talking about sex herself, how she talk about how he's endowed and all of that. Now we going too far. You could have left it out, sir. Grown women sit back and watch these boys and be like, oh, he look good. You need to get him some condoms. He gonna have a lot of babies. How old is he? When he get grown? And all that kind of stuff. A lot of these boys are sexually abused at a very young age by women. And people think it's cute because they like, well, little boys, they be after older women. Let me tell you something. A little boy can't give consent. It doesn't matter what the child desires. That's not the point. I could care less about what a child desires. It's about these grown people that desire children. That's what I have an issue with. I don't give a damn about, you know, how older women have this little boy and say, oh, that's my little boyfriend or whatever the case may be. That's not cute. Because you don't see cases where men are running around calling some little girl, oh, that's my little girlfriend. You'll be ready to blow that man off if somebody did your daughter like that. But when it comes to your son, it seems like it's absolutely okay. You see so many women just openly lusting after these little boys, and nobody steps in to protect them or say anything, because in one breath, that's just like me sitting right here. In one breath, I already know in our society, the sickness has been woven into the fabric of our society. I'm already knowing that. So with somebody saying something, it make it seem like, oh, you tripping. No, you're tripping. Just because people have been doing something for so long doesn't make it right. And I want anybody that's out there that posts anything online and feel as though they're right just because nobody give them any pushback. Just because nobody give you any pushback and you have yes men around them, that doesn't mean what you did is right. And you know, it's very dangerous for someone to be feeling like they beyond reproach. It's very dangerous. You have to learn how to start holding yourself accountable first. You need to check yourself first before somebody else have to check you. Everybody is not scared to say something or whatever, and everybody else will use their platforms to voice their opinion on different things. Now, am I sitting up here saying like this man had some type of ill intentions or ill will, or he was trying to, you know, solicit his son to older women? No, 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 no. Do I think he do anything to kids? Absolutely not. I don't have any thoughts like that in my mind. My thing is it a criminal thing? No, not at all. Is it inappropriate? Yes, it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that's just inappropriate. It's distasteful, and we got to be careful with that. We have to quit making things like that okay. I'm very passionate about it because I have nephews, and you know, I'm real hesitant on posting them and stuff online, especially in certain ways. You know, sometimes, you know, kids, they'll run around, they'll be a certain age or whatever, they might just be running around in a pamper or something like that. I don't really like, even with something like that, you in your right mind, you're not thinking nothing of it, but you have to think about the predators. You know, like my issue, not with this man, not with what he got going on, is that post. Been there. You get what I'm saying? Nobody can convince me, if everybody took a moment and got outside themselves for just a moment and just thought about it, nobody needs to know the size of this little boy's penis, or that he's well, and nobody needs to know that. I don't want to know what's going on in between anybody's legs. This person here is not the first person that I had said something to about posting inappropriate things about children. And they just having a celebratory moment as a parent, but it's not anything to celebrate in the grand scheme of things. You know, you could very well have said, hey, you know, my oldest son, he's coming into his manhood, you know, and you know, I'm telling him about the birds and the bees now. Cool. I had a woman one time, she had made a post and she was talking about, oh my God, I woke up this morning and my daughter, she started her cycle and I'm so happy she's coming into her womanhood and all of this. We do not need to know what's going on like that with your kids. If nothing else, even if you don't see it as an inappropriate, even if you don't see it as a thing that we need to protect them from the predators about, even if you don't see it that way, if nothing else, protect their privacy. Build a level of trust with them. Blocking them out of posts is not enough. I can't tell you how many times before social media, and I know y'all all can contest to this, when we were younger, how we'll be going through something and we done went to our mama and we done told our mama what we're going through, and next thing you know, the whole family know all of your business. That breaks down that level of trust. You know, for anything, you want your kids to be able to know, hey, if something going on, I know I can trust my parents with this information, and everybody is not going to know my business. Whereas when he's sitting there with his dad, and he's talking about it, they probably, I mean, boys gonna be boys and men gonna be men. You know what I'm saying? What you do with your kids, like, to keep it to yourself. But he might talk to his dad and they might pump fist, oh yeah, man, or whatever the case may be. That's between them. That's a private moment between that father and that son. I'm not about 15, 16 years old. Like, I even appreciated what he said in his post about how our parents will tell us not to do certain things and we still did it. I'm not one to tell boys or girls, you try to scare them about having sex or whatever. We need to educate them, because one thing about it, 9 times out of 10, about 15, 16, 17, around about that age, they might start, smelling themselves, feeling themselves, and get to doing some things that, they actually shouldn't be doing at that age, but they're doing it. But yeah, it have that conversation, but we don't need to be part of that chat. That's a private moment. And I definitely did not appreciate something else about what transpired with this, right? This particular person, with him actually being a dentist or whatever, of course you go to school for a long time, and you get your degree and you get your own practice and everything. Kudos to that. But every time someone had something to say about this person, him and some other dude, some just random person just dropped out the sky, was talking about how, because I had something to say to him about this inappropriate thing that he posted, all of a sudden it's the black woman bringing a black man down. Let me tell you something. I don't give a damn about your black old ass. I care about them kids. You know what I'm saying? All of this, the black woman bringing a black man. I'm not thinking about you. He's sitting up here talking about y'all being crabs in a bucket. Bitch, I ain't in a bucket with you. We ain't in a bucket together. I don't want what you got. I ain't trying to take nothing away from you. I'm not a dentist. I have never been to medical school. I don't know how to pull not a nary teeth out of nobody's mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna try to knock you off your square to get in your spot because I don't qualify for your spot. It's no reason for me to be trying to pull you down. Pull you down for what? I can't go play your position. You know what I'm saying? I could see if I was hating or trying to pull somebody down that's in the same field as me, that'll make more sense. But what I'm gonna do with the dental equipment after I knock the man out of his spot, I can't do nothing but, sell it somewhere at a liquidation store or something. I can't do nothing with none of them chairs and drills and stuff they have up in there. So it's not a case of somebody trying to pull this man down. It's not a beef. It's not any of that. It's a straightening. And that's what people don't understand. We have a duty in our community to straighten our own. People be talking about we need to police ourselves. We need to hold each other accountable and all of that. But then when you say something to somebody, it's, oh, you hating on them. I'm better than you because I got this amount of money or I got this degree. And none of that matters in the grand scheme of things when it comes to protecting these children. I could care less. I could care less about you yanking bad teeth out of people's mouth. I don't give a damn about that. You know what I'm saying? Has absolutely nothing to do with it. Throwing that around, it makes you just look lame. You get what I'm saying? When you this the only thing that you can fall back on. You have no type of comeback. And you start posting people who have the same educational background as you, and you try to use them to say, hey, you know what? I gotta be right because this person agree with me. No, you're wrong, and that person is just as sick as you are for thinking that BS is okay. That's how that go. It's just because you went to school, and let me tell you something, just because you went to school for a particular practice don't mean that you know everything. You know what you went to school for. Okay? That's what you want to you can't go on no construction site and get the hopping on forklifts. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to the ER. Matter of fact, as a dentist, if you want to be perfectly honest, since we're gonna talk about it, and you want to make it seem like somebody pulling you down, well then I'm gonna take a little jab at you real quick. If you want to be honest with it, people don't even really be considering a dentist to be a doctor in the first place. So y'all fight for validity anyway. Y'all got y'all whole doctorates, and people still don't even register y'all as a doctor in real life. You get what I'm saying? So miss me with all of that. And that's not you. Yeah, it was a jab. Fuck it. I was finna say that's not to take anything from them, but I'd be lying because you ain't finna play in my face like that. That's just doing way too much. And you worrying about the wrong thing. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not one of those people who feel like somebody in a certain profession shouldn't be able to let their hair down and be able to have fun. But the same way he posted on that thing and he said, you know what? I know that I might regret this. When you have all of these disclaimers in something that you post, and you also go that extra step as to blocking the person that you're talking about so they won't see it, that leads me to believe that you were aware that this might not be okay. You knew it wasn't okay. You just didn't know. You knew wasn't okay. You just didn't know that somebody was gonna have the nuts and balls to say something to you. That's all. Wasn't nasty about it. Wasn't nasty about it at all. But I'm gonna say something to you because one thing I do not play about is kids. I do not play about kids. It could be from protecting them from predators. I don't play about it. It could be just stripping them of their childhood, making the older kid keep their younger kids as if they're the parent, putting that responsibility on them. I don't play about whooping them unnecessarily. I don't like for people to whoop kids or whatever the case may be. I can't tell people how to handle their kids, but when you around me, don't put your hands on them because you're going to have to fight me if you touch a kid around me. Don't whoop your kid around me. Because you're traumatizing me at this point. You do that in the privacy of your own home. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that form of discipline. It's not happening around me. It's certain things I just do not play about. And the reason why I don't play like that, because it was certain positions that I was in when I was a kid that I wish I had somebody like me. I wish I had somebody to say, you know what? No, you're not about to let her. She's not about to be doing this babysitting and all of this or whatever and getting stripped of her childhood while this other one get to go play around or whatever. And she got to be the overseer and she's the child too. It's things like that I don't play about, and I'm very passionate. And I want people to really, really just pay a little bit more close attention to these boys. I think we try to overcorrect when it comes to the girls, and we don't do enough when it comes to the boys. It's just overprotective with the girls, but with the boys, it's just kind of like they just get thrown to the wolves. And what y'all got to understand is these social constructs that you have for boys is something that they don't recognize yet. Boys don't see the difference between emotions and how he's supposed to act versus how a girl's supposed to act as far as when they're feeling a certain way. Boys will get scared. Boys get frightened. Boys get upset. Boys have anxiety, all kinds of stuff. Every range of emotion that you could possibly think of, boys experience that. When you try to neglect their emotions and everything to toughen them up, you're not really toughening them up. You're actually making them very vulnerable. When people have to suppress their emotions, they become very fragile because it's when you have to suppress your emotions, then you are scared. You become scared to show your emotions. You don't think it's right. And so you deal with all of this stuff on the inside. So only thing you guys are creating, whether you believe it or not, you're creating ticking time bombs. That's the reason why you see a lot of guys that they don't really know how to process or deal with too many emotions at all, because they had to suppress everything. And the only way like a lot of guys are able to actually express themselves is through sex and anger. So you're actually, if you don't protect these boys and you don't give them a safe space when they're younger, you're going to create little monsters. And then you guys gonna be the same people when they become adults and you become older, and you have to look back and see what's going on in the world, and you'll be talking about how the next generation is messed up. The next generation is being raised by y'all. Like, people be talking about the next generation as if this generation don't have an overseer. We're the overseers of the next generation. So if the next generation is messed up, It's because of us. It ain't their fault. It's our fault. So it's something that you have to do as the adult in order to guide them, in order to let them know they feel protected. It's so much stuff that a little boy is going to go through, especially a little black boy. And when I'm talking about these kids, as far as protecting boys or whatever the case may be, I'm talking about all kids. When it comes to sexual misconduct and things like that, I don't care about the race, none of that. I'm talking about all kids. Don't no kid need to be stripped of their innocence, none. And when you do things like that and they become reckless as an adult, you can't do nothing but sit back and blame yourself for it. So we got to definitely be careful with that. Let me check the comments real quick. I ain't gonna hold you. Imperial Glam said, yes, we brush the wrong things under the rug. We have been doing it for decades. Absolutely. Joe Travis said, when I was a teenager working for fast food, them grown women were on me, and that's what happens. And it's disgusting. I don't know if I told you guys this story before. You people that have been watching me on Facebook, I did go live and I shared some of this, but if you're just watching from YouTube, I'm gonna share this story with you. I had a friend, and she will post her son on social media. Handsome little boy. Post him on social media. He looks every bit of 9, 10, 11 years old. Don't look up age at all. Very innocent face. Cute little boy, right? Here go grown. Girl, he gonna be, they say stuff like this. Girl, he gonna be a heartbreaker when he get older. Girl, you gonna, all the girls gonna be at your house. Then she'll say something. Yeah, girl, I'm gonna have to go on ahead and get him some condoms. A kid between 8 to 10 years old. Why are we having a conversation about we gonna have to get him some condoms? Why? Y'all grown folks be talking about the things that kids don't need to be thinking about at a certain age. Why you're thinking about this inappropriate stuff about a kid at their young age? It's no way you got to get him some condom. You done jump right into that. In order for him to use the condom, that means that he needs to be messing around with somebody's daughter or maybe somebody's boy, with people be knowing their sexual orientation at a young age. But he's going to be laying down with somebody around his age group or whatever the case may be. And so I'm going to tell you what happens. When you get, this is so crazy. Y'all follow me with this. The way we socialize kids and the way kids are socialized it breeds this environment for predators. We tell girls, we're not gonna go into all of these different various sexualities or whatever. We just gonna keep it real cute, and so we can get through this. We tell girls when they're young, don't mess with no boys. Keep boys away. You can't have no boyfriend until you're out my house. You're grown. You're 25. All of that. The girl finna go to the prom. You got the shotgun at the door, walking her to go meet her prom date, and all of this, right? But we tell the boys. So the girls they scared to have sex, right? The 14, 15, 16 years old, they scared to have sex because what mom and daddy said. And how society look at girls in their sexuality. Society don't even approve of young girls messing around, right? So we already look at them. Oh, you 15 years old and you messing around. We gonna condemn them once we find out, just as a society. The little boy, he is told to chase girls at that same age that we told the girls not to mess with the boys, right? So he can't get to the little girl. Y'all be worrying about little kids' sexuality. He can't get to the little girl. What's the next thing he could get to? He could probably get to a little boy that's trying to feel himself around, or one of those predatory grown women. 9 times out of 10, y'all know I'm not lying. 9 times out of 10, a boy lost his virginity to a woman that was overage. When I say overage, I mean overage. I don't care how much overage. He was a minor and she was adult. I don't care if he was 16 and she was 18. He's still underage. He's still a child. He still can't consent in whatever state he in. I don't know all the state laws, but we just gonna make it seem as though they can't consent at this age, right? So 9 times out of 10, boys are actually socialized to be sexually abused just from that. And that's not to say free up this thing where, oh, you just let your girls be like, your girls around the same age to just be willy-nilly because we're trying to protect these boys. No. Don't be worrying about these kids' sexuality and all of this old kind of stuff, whether it's a girl or boy, whether they're straight, whether they're hetero, or they homosexual, whatever the case may be. 15, 16 years old, last thing we should be worrying about, they should be working at this time to, get their grades together because they heading off, they getting their credits and all this stuff. They about to head off to college. They need to have their GPA up the part to get admitted to the school of their choice. That's what we need to be focusing on. Now, I know that's a cookie cutter approach. However, that's what you as the adult need to be focusing on. The kid ain't gonna necessarily focus on it because they kids. I'm 15, 16 years old, child. You couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I knew everything just like any other kid, right? But they don't know everything. So your duty is to guide them. And I'm gonna tell y'all something else before I get out. I want people to stop doing is I want people to stop affording a space for kids to do BS in their home. A lot of people are no longer parenting these kids anymore. They're trying to be these kids' friend. You have a lot of people that they'll sit around and be like, well, I'm gonna smoke weed with my child because they gonna do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm a let the boyfriend and the girlfriend, they could come over here and mess around because they gonna do it anyway. You start doing unlawful things with your children because you say they gonna do it anyway. Let them fuck around and find out like we had to. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why you supposed to have big cousins and you know what I'm saying? You supposed to have your cousins and you're supposed to have your friends and things like that. It's certain things that you shouldn't be picking up and learning from your parents. I don't think that your parents should be teaching you how to smoke. Your parents shouldn't be teaching you how to drink or anything like that. Some lines just have to be crossed. Some lines just have to be set. I'm sorry. Some lines just have to be set. And a lot of people have a problem with setting those healthy boundaries. And these kids are just all over the place. Like I said, I'm not a parent. People could parent how they want to. I don't have control. I can give my opinion on it. But one thing I have been as a child, I have been around kids. I have looked out the kids. And we are conditioned in this society, and we be telling people, oh, you need to mind your business. No, I don't need to mind my business. Everything that goes on around me is my business. I'm not a Karen. I'm not finna get to messing with people in no park and reporting them barbecuing or whatever the case may be. I'm not calling 911 on nobody or anything like that. However, when it comes to certain things that are happening in front of me, and I know that it's inappropriate and it's wrong, it's my duty to stand up and it's my duty to say something. I'm not brushing anything under the rug. I'm not gonna sit up here just like that post. Now, I'm gonna just use this as an example, only an example. Just like that post, right? Say for instance, if this father wasn't the type of father that he is, wasn't really active in his child's life and there to hold his hand and walk him through coming into his manhood or whatever the case may be. And say something happened to that little boy, right? Everybody on the post laughing about it, ain't said nothing about it or anything. What if he was the type of person that would have looked at that and would have been like, you know what, this is wrong. Let me correct this. Let me not do this or whatever. And then if it was a case where he didn't change anything and something happened to him, and then he could be like, then people would be like, it wasn't anybody there to kind of stop this. Didn't nobody see any red flags or any signs to see what was going on. Then all of a sudden, everybody need to rally together. I'm not doing it with y'all. We're not doing it. We're not finna be all minding our business this whole time and not getting involved with everybody else got going on. You don't want us to get involved with shit. You don't want us to say nothing about what you're doing, but as soon as you lose something or you need some help, then you want to talk about it takes a village. We need unity and all of that. The village, no, I'm not. The village is not being employed just because you need a babysitter now, just because you need some school supplies, or just because you had some tragedy that happened, or just because you sat up here and had these multiple kids or whatever, and you need some help. These folks don't be talking about a village until they need a babysitter. I don't want to hear it. If you want us to be a village, then that means that we have a responsibility to hold you accountable to keep the integrity of the village intact. Otherwise, if that's not what you want, if you don't want any type of supervision, if you don't want any type of straightening, if you don't want to be held accountable for anything, then go through everything that you're going through in your life. I mean, every single thing. I don't give a damn if somebody going, oops upside your head. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you're going through, the village needs to keep walking right on past you. Right on past you. Once you're getting whooped upside your head, now you where everybody at? Why didn't nobody come save her? Why didn't nobody come save him? You told us to mind our business, and that's what I did. That's what we did. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? So we gotta keep let me look at these posts. The Arabia said, I saw that post earlier today. That tooth fairy, calling that man a tooth fairy. Kari said exactly. And yeah, like even with that, people, oh, you trying to drag him, or you trying to take his business, and his business in Louisiana. I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? I can't do nothing with that. Only thing I could do with a business is probably send some junkies in there and get the copper, and we'll melt that down. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna tell y'all how that go, but that's about the only thing I could do with that building. If I had a building, what I'm gonna do with a dental office? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Don't want it, ain't driving out there to go get it. You hear me? Ain't nobody trying to knock nobody. We gotta quit doing it. We gotta quit every time we correct our own. Is you hating, you mad because you ain't where I'm at. Or if it's a woman saying something about a man, or a man saying something to a woman, it's automatically they trying to sleep around, or he responded. He gotta be feminine now. We gotta talk about his sexuality. It's all of this talking about how people look and all of that. When y'all get done with the deflection, the fact of the matter is these boys need to be protected, and that inappropriate stuff need to be left off of social media. It's just simple as that. It need to be. When I was a little girl, I learned how to wash myself real early, right? My parents had got to the point when I started to be, how little kids, they start asking you what's this on their body and stuff like that, or they get to a point where they in school, and so you trying to teach them how, okay, this your private, nobody is supposed to touch this or whatever. My parents were so cold about that. My mama, daddy, I'm talking about my whole family. Thankfully, I came from a family that they didn't mess around with kids. We ain't had nobody messing around with kids or nothing like that. I've never stayed with a babysitter, nothing in my life. I don't know what it is to have some stranger keeping me. None of that. Got to a certain age, my mom and them, baby, you finna get this towel. You finna wash yourself. They wouldn't even wash me between my legs because they said nobody's supposed to touch me there. Now, they would watch me to make sure I'm cleaning myself good and all of that, but they wouldn't even wipe between my legs once I was aware of, this is a private area and nobody is supposed to touch it. We do the same thing with my nephews. Even though they little boys and they could run around and have on their little drawers and t-shirt, boys nasty and run around any kind of way or whatever the case may be. Even when it comes to that, they get in that tub, that little one, he about 5 years old, get in that tub. We finna wash all of this here, but you finna wash him between your legs. We're not touching you. You big enough, and nobody else should be touching you. That goes for boys and girls. Now, how y'all do that, that's something different. I'm just telling you the extremes that my people went through. So the Arabia said, come to find out, I know some people that went to school with him. They said everyone back then thought he sucked a child. Oh, okay. They said back then. Oh, he's so silly. Um, but yeah, like I said on Facebook before I was going live, this this isn't to drag him per se. The post was inspiration for this conversation. This took me back to the origins of Deaths of the Asia, where we used to sit down and we'll tackle these hard subjects and the things that plagued our community, and we'll have those open and honest conversations and give appropriate feedback and everything. And we need more of this, and it brought me the chorus, and I was just like, you know what, this is something that we need to talk about, because we don't talk about it enough. If ever, I really don't see I don't remember seeing a conversation about it, but it needs to be had. Um, when we think about protecting boys, for whatever reason, we only think about protecting them physically. Um, we want to protect them physically, and a lot of times and really and truly, when we talk about it, especially black boys, we only looking at it from like a police brutality aspect, or trying to protect them from a street life, to make sure they don't wind up in hell or jail. That's it. A lot of thought is not put into boys that much, and they definitely need that. Let me tell you something. I'm traditional when it comes to boys and girls, men and women. I'm traditional when it comes to that. And I think that men are the leaders in society. And I feel as though if anybody needs to be harnessed the right way and brought up the right way, it needs to be the leaders of our society. I mean, women, we are in roles of power and everything here and there. But at the end of the day, I think in the grand scheme of things, men are leaders in societies, right? We live in a patriarchal society. So that means men are the leaders of the society, whether we like it or not. So we need to make sure that they're fully equipped with the things they need, the tools that they need, the sense of reasoning they need, the emotional intelligence that they need, the physical strength training that they need. All of these different things that these boys need in order to be able to lead societies. So we definitely need to be pouring into these boys. We definitely need to protect these boys, because one thing about it is, if we don't have these boys and we don't have these men, we'll cease to exist as women and children. We need these boys. We already be losing them to the street, and we lose them to police brutality or whatever the case may be. You notice at time of war or whatever, a lot of boys and be born and stuff. We need boys. We definitely need boys. We're not saying girls are not important. Girls are not the topic right now. We're talking about boys. We need boys. Boys are the ones that's out there getting suited and booted and got their bravado and want to go to war for just no reason. Boys are the ones that got their ego. Without the male's ego, without that male pride, to make them be territorial and fight for power and things like that, we will actually cease to exist. And a lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of people don't appreciate and respect that, and a lot of people don't feel like it's something that we need to like pour into. And we need to have healthy ways of doing that. And we need to let them know that is anybody, we raising these boys, they supposed to be our warriors. Any warrior is supposed to have some type of place of refuge. And if anything else, the first thing that they want to know is their parents is a place of refuge for them. Their parents is a safe haven for them. That's the first safe haven that is created for them, right? Before they go out and create their own families. So as a parent, you should do all that you can in order to protect their innocence, in order to protect their privacy, in order to make them feel like they can trust you. Imperial, no, Kari said daycare don't even wipe the kids due to this. It's real. Exactly. Imperial said, I'm traditional too, and I'm not ashamed of it, but these men as well as women have to do better. These men and these women have to do better, but Imperial, I don't know if you was on here earlier, but I'm gonna just reiterate that since you brought that up. Very good comment. These men and women have to do better, but do they know better to do better? How are they raised? Again, we live in this society where everybody needs to mind their business, and people think it's okay to talk about what's in between a little boy's legs versus a little girl's leg. You know, we raising these kids very different. You know, so when we say, hey, these men and women need to do better, then what did their parents do? You get what I'm saying? So we are at fault of what goes on with the next generation. It's not the next generation fault what goes on with them. We're supposed to be instilling certain principles in these kids. We're supposed to be giving them structure. We're supposed to be whatever traditions we have passing down. But see, with black people, you can't tell black people nothing. Everybody want to do what they want to do. Each is own. Everybody want to have these different weird thought process. Everybody want to be woke and have all of these different ideologies. And some people have groups of people of all different ideologies just band and working together, whatever the case may be. It needs to be one band and one sound. You know what I'm saying? And societies that strive and people be talking about, oh, it's a black man and a black woman problem. No, it's not a black man, black woman problem per se. What the problem is in our society here in America, we just absolutely have no real culture. We to each his own, everybody doing whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. And we're not checking anything. We're not saying, hey, you can't do this. I don't care. Yeah, you have free agency and everything like that, but it's just certain things that you can't do. We're not gonna ride with that. You might not have a good sense, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of people out here that are free to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do, and they really don't have a good sense. And that is the reason why, believe it or not, people might not like this. That's the reason why hell we need government and people to tell us what to do, because people ain't gonna do right on their own. You know what I'm saying? People be so quick to be, oh, we don't need this and we don't need that. But are you capable of doing things on your own? Absolutely not. People be all over the place. Imperial said, that's true, because I have seen a lot of men push sex on their child at a very early age. Yeah, they push sex on their child. I hate to see it. I hate to see it. Because I'm going to tell you something. And a lot of girls, well, a lot of women now. If y'all think back, any women watching and anybody that's watching right now, subscribe to the channel, like it, share it, whatever. If you think back about when you had your little boyfriend or whatever, when you was younger, and maybe your first time of messing around or whatnot, if he hadn't ever been with anybody and you hadn't ever been with anybody, you notice how nervous boys would be. Boys, it honestly take boys a while to get comfortable with themselves, and people don't even think about that. You know, boys deal with a lot of they deal with a lot of body issues, self-esteem issues, confidence issues as well. For some reason, things are marketed towards women when it comes to like body images and things like that. Boys, men, they deal with the same stuff. And you'll have these boys, and they be scared. They be a little timid. You know, they feeling around. They trying to figure things out or whatever. So imagine this little boy that he's still not really sure of himself, because if this is an older woman that's coming on to him, then he has the pressure to perform because he's a boy, right? So this older woman is coming to him and everything, coming on to him, and he may be excited, and you know what I'm saying, because you know how kids, you know, people at a certain age, 16, 17. However, it's still a whole lot of nerves with it. It's like what to do, and you try to feel you and all of this old kind of stuff. that could be so intimidating and that could be so traumatizing. And what people don't understand about trauma is just because you don't think that you experienced the trauma, just because you don't register it as, okay, it wasn't a bad feeling to me, and you don't feel like you were taken advantage of, that doesn't mean that you weren't taken advantage of. That don't mean that it wasn't any trauma associated with that, because what you perceive with your conscious mind is way different what's played in your subconscious. All of those emotions and the feelings and things like that, it's played in your subconscious. A lot of boys, if you having a problem with your man as an adult woman, if you're having a problem with your man as an adult woman, you'll notice his issues with women started like when the first couple of times, like when he first started messing around or whatever, what some older woman did. Whether it's his preferences, what he like, how he like it, and all of that. It's usually it's tied to this older woman that got a hold to him or whatever. And that just should not be. It just should not be like that. These kids should be able to develop and flow in sync with each other. It shouldn't be any adult coming into that sacred space of kids and interrupting that. You get what I'm saying? And we in this society, we think that kids are not worthy of, having their space, having their privacy, being protected or anything. We feel like, oh, you a kid. Oh, you don't have stress. You don't have anything to worry about. You don't pay no bills. It's kind of like you just this thing that, hey, I got like a little toy or something. I got to feed, take to school or whatever. Your shit, drink and go to sleep and do what I tell you to do. Everything that you feel emotionally, it has to be shut down. You don't have any say so. As a kid, you can't say anything. You can't do anything. You're just really there, like soaking everything in. And when you're in spaces with someone who is older than you, that's supposed to be protecting you, and they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing to you, even though you don't feel like it's affecting you in a negative way, I promise you it is. I promise you it's affecting them in a negative way. They're gonna get into adulthood and they're gonna think back. They remember that stuff. I had something that happened to me when I was younger, and I used to think that, oh, you know what? I like doing this, and it was a person that was probably 2-3 years older than me or whatever. But 2 or 3 years difference when you're a kid, it's a big difference. It's a big difference between a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. It's not a big difference between a 35 and a 38-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So 2 to 3 years as a kid is a big difference. But this is something that we experience as kids with each other. And even me, I could actually remember that moment. I enjoyed myself in that moment, but I remember that moment, and it's something that stuck with me. Like, even like the scent of that moment stuck with me and everything, right? And this is from when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And it had a lot to do with some decisions that I made in my selection process as I got older. So if it stuck with me like that, and nobody, over that, this person was older than me, but still a minor. You get what I'm saying? But it wasn't. It was a whole different situation. It's not what y'all think, but it wasn't as traumatic and all that. But what I'm saying is, even that, it stuck with me. And imagine being a little boy and being socialized to be hypersexual, and as much of those experiences stick with them. Um, Imperial Glam said, that's so true. A guy I used to date said a 24-year-old woman turned him out at 15 with anal sex and everything else you can imagine. She didn't see a problem, but it played. No, he didn't see a problem, but it played out in his behavior. It definitely will play out in your behavior. You got somebody that is trying to play out their sexual fantasies with a child, and they're exploring certain things that they just shouldn't be experiencing at that young age. So I'm not gonna hold you. I've been on here long enough, about an hour or whatever, and I don't want to get redundant, but the message is just protect these boys. Just we got to do a better job with protecting these boys, and don't be afraid to speak out if you hear something that It's just inappropriate, and it shouldn't be done. And if you were ever one of those people who thought that it was okay for people to make those comments about boys, and how he's so handsome, you need to get him some condoms and all of that, it's not cute. Don't do it, and don't let it fly. If you see it in your social media space, you have every right to speak out and say something about it, because that is something that has came into your cipher. So if something comes into your cipher, then you have the right in order to decide to deal with it, not deal with it, or approach it the way that you feel like you need to approach the situation. Can nobody stop you from doing that? But I thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and all that good stuff. Also, I'm on another podcast, the Hip Hop School Past and Present Podcast, a very dope hip hop podcast. If you like all things hip hop, that's the place to be. I'm gonna put the link. I usually have the link in the description. I forgot to do that. I'm gonna put the link in the description once this ends, and you can click on that, go over there, and subscribe to that as well. We have some dope interviews coming up. I thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm about to tune out. Y'all have a good one.
I hope you black men were paying attention. I hope you black men were paying attention.